With the transfer portal and the NIL and pay for players and all of this, I thought I would rehash an old video in my playlist that kind of goes hand in hand with what is going on now. And it was when two lawyers from the state of Oklahoma in 1981 began a lawsuit against the NCAA and ended in a 7-2 victory in the Supreme Court in 1984 for television rights. But this has a tie-in to what's going on now. I'm going to bring you this and a lot more on this episode of Sooner Legends Podcast. Well, thank you for hopping in on this episode of Sooner Legends Podcast. I'm your host, Mike, the legend. And if you don't mind, if you're new to the channel, new to the family, hop down and hit that red subscriber button. Turn on your post notification bells. That way you won't miss any college football OU related content that I will be dropping in the future. And if you're on a computer or a laptop, if you notice down in the right hand corner, there is a subscribe button that looks like a watermark. If you hover your pointer over that, you can subscribe to the video right there and you don't have to jump out of the video. And also, could you give me a like and give me a comment, tell me what you think, and share the video with your friends, because sharing is caring, and all of this, it helps push the algorithm of YouTube, and to small content creators such as myself, that means the world. Well, we all know the transfer portal, the NIL, pay for players, blah blah blah. We all know that it is the Wild Wild West, Dodge City, Doc Holiday, Wide Earth style. No laws, no anything. So I would like to discuss an event that happened with the University of Oklahoma and the University of Georgia starting in 1981 that could tie into this and probably bring this to light, because it has a lot to do with what's going on now, even though that was a different time. Well, in 1981, USC in Oklahoma's playing, and we're being broadcast all over the United States, getting our revenue shares, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, on the east side of the United States, App State and the Citadel are in a game, and they're getting the same revenue as USC and Oklahoma, but they wasn't being broadcast to a broader audience like the USC and Oklahoma game. Well, two lawyers that worked for Crow and Dunleavy here in Oklahoma City by the name of Andy Coates and Clyde Muchmore, they caught wind of it, and they felt that Oklahoma needed to control their own destiny by their television rights, and they should be broadcast whenever they want, however they seem fit. Because me growing up in the 70s up until 1984, when this case was finally closed, if you was an Oklahoma fan in the 70s, you only seen Oklahoma twice. And that was against Texas and Nebraska, not counting the bowl game, mind you. And also early in the season, if we wasn't playing the big blue blood schools like USC or Notre Dame or any of those guys, we wasn't on TV at all. A lot of radio. So Clyde and Andy got together and agreed with each other that the University of Oklahoma should be put on TV anytime they wanted to. So they went all over Oklahoma City trying to find a judge to sit on this case, and they finally found a judge uh, who was from New Mexico, sitting on the bench here in Oklahoma City, Judge Burciaga, and they brought they brought their case to him, and he wrote a 90-page letter stating yes, what the NCAA is doing is wrong. So they took the case to the District 9 in Denver, Colorado, and that went on for several months. And finally, that judge up there agreed with Judge Burciaga. Well, not only was Oklahoma represent or Andy Coates and Clyde Muchmore, not only were they representing the University of Oklahoma and their athletic director at the time, they was also representing the athletic director and the University of Georgia. They tried to get some more schools to hop on, but they wouldn't because they didn't want to be implicated. But I've heard Andy say several times, "Hey, we went to these functions and these coaches would come up to me, hey, I like what you're doing, just don't mention our school." So finally, Andy Coates and Clyde Muchmore gets a court order, and Andy Coates goes up to New York City, CBS, and what he uncovers as far as the football rights and what have you, he uncovered a racket, Italian style mafia racket. And so they had enough evidence in their case that they took it to the Supreme Court in Washington D.C. and they presented their case to the Supreme Court. And kind of a fun fact on this deal is uh, early in the case, Andy Coates said that he knew what the NCAA stood for. It's never compromise anything anytime, and he said suing the NCAA was like suing the IRS. So anyway, with a 7-2 judgment, Andy Coates and Clyde Muchmore won their case. Now, what happened then is, like the old saying goes, to the victors goes the spoils. Uh, the University of Georgia and the University of Oklahoma got put on probation after that. But this ties in to what is going on with the NIL, transfer portal, pay for players, all that. Somebody needs to be a new Andy Coates and Clyde Muchmore and take on the NCAA for the Antitrust Act. Now, I've got a video way down in my playlist when I first started on the cell phone that I'll put a link in that in the description. But with the way things going on right now, they need another Andy Coates and Clyde Muchmore to take them on, because something's got to be done with this. And I'm going to leave out the transfer portal. The NIL, all this collective. You cannot sit there and tell me that there's tampering going on with these players. And somebody needs to step up, and show out and take on the NCAA again and get this mess to a dull roar where everybody can be happy. That's just my 2 cents. Will it happen? Probably not. But that's that that that's what I'm thinking. Something needs to be done. And this event where we sued for TV rights and got them, because if you notice, after that lawsuit in 1984 was won, that's when you started seeing ESPN, Raycom Sports, all of that We went from, uh, I think it was up to 1984, not counting the bowl games, 14 games a season to what we have now on television. 14 games per season on television in the 1970s, early 80s. You had your on ABC, you had your big game, and then pretty much out then NBC and CBS would host some, but 14 games in a season. I know it's hard for some of you younger podcasters out there to fathom, but I spent a many a day, me and my daddy listening to OU on the radio. So, y'all hop down in the comments, tell me what you think about this. I love chopping it up with y'all. Y'all are a great bunch of people. I got a great group of followers who's all time commenting. We're up to 425 subscribers. Hop down in there and jump on in and subscribe and join the family. Join the fun by yours truly. Well, y'all have a great rest of the day. This is the legend. We'll see you on the backside. Boomer Sooner.